Hey guys, it's Brick Thunder, and today I'm going to be covering a topic that a lot of people have requested, and I'm going to be going over some haunt tips. Alright, so I've been receiving a lot of general comments about haunt tips. Just people asking for specific ones, or people asking, in general, what should I do to get started? And I've been doing home haunt for 9 years now, so I have some practice and I know what works, what doesn't. So I'm going to be going over some of the main things I could think of to help you guys out if you're just starting haunt or if you want to upgrade your haunt. Alright, so I'm going to be starting here with audience reaction. Now, I'm starting with it because I have kind of covered this in other videos. I talk about this a lot because this is a huge thing that a lot of people don't really listen to. You really have to listen to what your audience likes and doesn't like. A good way of doing that is cameras. Always have cameras everywhere so you can see how scares work. If the scare doesn't work, then you might have to let it go. A lot of people still do things even though they don't get the best reactions just because they like them, and it's kind of hard to let go of stuff like that if you really like it, but sometimes you have to, because if the audience doesn't, then there's really no point, because the audience is who you're trying to please. Now, this doesn't have to just be about scares. This can definitely be about animatronics as well. And animatronics definitely depend on the person. Some people find, like specific genres scary, like clowns. Some people find the big ones scary because it's intimidating. Some people find the more realistic ones intimidating and scary. But you want to find the ones that the audience generally just likes. For me, actually, one of the main ones was Nightcrawler. Every year I get compliments about Nightcrawler. For people who don't know animatronics very well, they see that and it's terrifying, and then it actually jumps up at them. So it's a great scare, but also it's just an awesome prop. Now, obviously, all the big ones and all the professional ones, Colossus, Ghostflyer, all those ones obviously get a ton of talk, but not many home haunts are going to have props like that. So the way you can use retail props is see how your audience likes a certain type and get more of those, because you do want to please the audience as much as possible, because they are usually going to be waiting in a pretty long line just to get into your attraction, so you definitely want them leaving satisfied. And I think that leads us pretty well into our next topic, which is a memorable moment or item. So obviously you want your guests to leave satisfied, but you also want them to leave with a memory, because that is going to make them want to come back next year and the next year and the next year and just keep coming back to see what's different. And we are going to talk about change as well, because that is really important. But that memorable piece is very, very important, whether that's a room, a hallway, or just a singular prop. Like for me, Colossus would definitely be that. People record that every year, people take pictures every year, and they're going to want to come back just to see that. A lot of people say they came just to see Colossus. But if you can't have a prop like that, where it's just huge scale, it is on the pricey side, so it's not going to be affordable for all home haunts, you can focus on a room, and you can definitely do rooms for cheap. You can use a lot of foam and wood, things that are just going to maybe cost a few $100s to do the entire room, and it's going to be memorable enough that people want to come back. So now we're going to move over to the more scare side of haunting, and we're going to talk about the psychology of this. So you want to kind of play with people's mind to scare them. And that might sound a bit weird, but what you want to do is things like, for example, what we did in the Mutant to Hotel hallway. So people go into Mutant, and this door opens and it's just going crazy. There's insane lights everywhere. Mutant is thrashing around, spitting at people. But then you turn the corner into the hotel room, and you open that door, and inside it's super calm. There's nothing happening, no lights going crazy or anything. There's music playing, and the door, once it shuts, actually really drowns out the audio from the Mutant hall. So it's really silent and calm, which brings people's guard down. They're not really thinking about scares then, because they just went from intense to calm. So they're kind of just back to that calm point. And when your audience is calm, that's when you can really, really scare them. Because if they're always looking for scares, then it's not going to be as good, because they might know when it's going to come or know where it's going to come from. But if you can get them to that calm point where they're not thinking about that, then the scare is going to be way more effective. Also, distractions here work very well. For example, again, hotel hallway, we had the phone at the end, and that's ringing. So you're looking at the phone and you think you're gonna have to go pick it up, but really, before you even get there, the scare happens. So that is another piece where it just catches people off guard for sure. And I know I keep bringing up the same hallway, but this is definitely one of our favorite halls because another piece of it is that opening wall. People look at the phone for sure, but another thing people notice is there's no escape. And that door that closes behind you doesn't have a handle, so there's no way to get out that way. So in the dark, you really can't see that the wall's going to open, so it really looks like you're trapped. So definitely freaks some people out. All right, so moving on to the next one. This one is one I break a lot. This is less props, more actors. Because a lot of times, even though there are some good jump scare animatronics, an actor is going to have more perfect timing, a more perfect scare, and you can work them into the haunt and theme much easier. Now, I do have a ton of animatronics outside. I really don't try to line them up. A lot of people just line them up, and that doesn't really make it a haunt. That's just more of a display, which is still cool. A lot of people find that awesome. But I don't want to really do that. I do usually try to categorize things, but there have gotten to be a lot of props for that small little yard, which I'm definitely excited to move into the building because that brings new opportunities. But for the yard, they got pretty crammed. So out there, it's more of a display. But then you may notice as soon as you go into the garage, it's either just professional animatronics or none at all. And that brings people into the more real side of things because people are definitely more afraid of the actors than animatronics. I always get questions before people enter, like, are there actors? How many actors are there? Are actors going to jump scare me? Nobody ever asks about animatronics because they're really not as scary because they aren't real. Actors are real, so you never know what they're going to do. Animatronics, they all kind of do the same thing, jump up, reset. But an actor, you can never really predict it. So that's definitely something I'm going to be working on the next few years moving into the building. Definitely want more actors and more of an actor-based haunt than animatronics. But animatronics are still amazing. I still definitely recommend using them because great photo ops, great scene setters, and those huge ones like the 12 foots, 15 foots, and then the more professional ones like Colossus or Ghost Flyer definitely impress people, and those are very important as well. So here's one for more beginner haunts. If you're just starting out and you don't have the budget yet to buy a ton of animatronics and a ton of walls and stuff like that, something that's really important that a lot of people don't focus on, and I didn't focus on for a while, is lighting. Lighting really transforms a scene, and it's inexpensive. You don't need as much when it's cool lighting because it's going to look awesome no matter what. Our haunt was sponsored by Govee. This video is not. This is just a personal recommendation. They're awesome. They have the house lights that are fully codable. You can actually program them to do different things and stuff. And I love those. Those really set the scene very well. And then also just a ton of floodlights. Floodlights are great. Multicolor, you don't want just white. Just white is definitely not something you want to do. You want to limit white as much as possible, actually. I think I only had one white light, and it was in the front kind of by Colossus. The rest of the haunt, I really tried to do dynamic lighting. Graveyards, you want more like green, blue, purple colors. Devils and stuff, you want that red and orange. Butcher shop also can go with that red and orange. Clowns, you can just do rainbow. Like a lot of floodlights actually have rainbow settings where they just flicker through the different colors. And if you have multiple of those, it's just crazy and really cool. So you can definitely focus on different sections with different colors of light, but you really want to work on that for sure because a lot of people don't, and it's really important and allows you to buy a lot less, but have a really cool scene still. All right, now skipping over to a more later down the road thing. You don't have to start with this, but this is something you definitely want to work towards, which is wood walls. I've gone through all the different types of walls. I've done just the tarp, like that black plastic tarp. I've done foam walls, which really didn't work. And then I have done wood. And wood is obviously by far the best. And it is what a lot of professional haunts use too. We use things called flats. You can look up videos on how to make flats. It's what they do in movies for sets and stuff. They're easy to make. They're modular, so you can actually move them around, clip them together, and it's done. And then when you're ready to take them out, clip them off, and then put them in storage. So great, great walls. And it's all wood and masonite, or you can use a few other materials. You can do plywood and stuff, but then it gets heavy and expensive. So we use masonite with 1x3 frames. So definitely recommend using wood, especially because when you're scaring people in those hallways, a lot of people tend to bang up against the walls. And when you're using foam or tarp, those things will come right down. And a lot of people use PVC as well. Again, it's just going to come down if someone falls on it. And I've had friends where that has happened to them. And even at our haunt, when we did like the foam walls, people just like kick it by accident, and then there's holes all around your walls and stuff, and you just spent all these days painting them and making them look good, and then the next year you can't even really use them. So definitely the best thing to go with is the flats, which are wood. So here, this might be the most asked question out of all of these. This is about animatronics and how to keep them weatherproof, because a lot of companies still don't weatherproof their animatronics, which is kind of crazy. It's definitely something we should work towards for sure. But all the big ones are, which is nice, but all the life-size ones, or most of the life-size ones, are not. Now, a simple fix to this is literally just garbage bags. And instead of putting them over the prop, I just put them on the inside, wrapped around the control box. When you have all these animatronics going, their audio doesn't really matter. So you can keep those bags on if you want the entire time, and their audio still will play, but there could be some like echoing inside there, and it might not sound as good. Sometimes it might not even come out really. But to me, that doesn't really matter. I just buy the animatronics for what they look like. I don't really care about the audio. If you care about the audio, they're easy to take off the bags when it stops raining, but it's definitely the safest way, because the most vulnerable part of an animatronic is for sure that control box. If any water gets in there, they could definitely be ruined forever. So just cover that with bag and you should be good. I have done that for years now, and I have never had an animatronic be water damaged. Make sure you do this right though, even if it requires some tape, if you have to tape it on there because of wind or just because it is falling off. Some control boxes are not as easy to access as others, so you can tape it, do whatever to make sure that the whole thing is covered, but then you should be good. Another one relating to weather, use rebar, trampoline rebar stakes. They're about a foot long and they're super thick, and instead of those little lawn stakes, these really hold no matter how high of wind. I've had props out in like 20-30 miles per hour and none of them fall because of these things. They're super strong. The prop would probably snap before these get pulled out. All right, so now we're going to go back to the beginning where I said we're going to talk about change. You definitely want to change things each year, even though it might be a bit difficult. If something works, you're going to want to keep it. But sometimes you do want to change things up because people are going to come back and then it's all going to be the same, and then they may not come back another year. And you don't have to change everything. You don't even have to change your theme. You can still keep that main theme, but you should definitely change a good percent of it. Doesn't even have to be half. Just about 30% of your haunt should definitely be different, for sure. And that does change when you're in a building and professional and stuff. But for home haunts, it's a lot easier because you have all year to switch stuff up. In a pro haunt, it's a permanent location, so it's kind of more difficult to move things around then. But pro haunts should definitely still change. But home haunts, it's all going to come down anyway. So put it back up different, even if that's just switching hallway directions and stuff, or switching the thickness of hallways or entire themes. It's definitely worth doing because a lot of people are going to recognize stuff from the previous year, and that can give away scares, or it can just make it a generally less scary experience because they know what's to come. So definitely make changes. And for the final one, don't rush into things. It definitely takes a really long time to build up the home haunt that you want. And a lot of home haunters want to go pro one day. And that's not something you should rush because that's a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of legal things that you have to get into then. So take your time. You have to definitely build up to what you want instead of trying to pack it all into 1 year, your first year trying to get it all done. It's going to take time. You can definitely use some of these tips like the lighting and stuff to make it look awesome still, even if you don't have the money at the start. But then, yeah, as you're raising money and stuff, you can add more and more each year until it is what you want. And yeah, I definitely recommend home haunters to try to go pro one day because if you can do what you love to do every day, that is definitely the goal. And the haunt industry is very rapidly growing. It's only getting bigger. People are only wanting to visit haunts more and more. Haunts are opening more year round now. So it's definitely an industry that is good to get into, and especially at this moment, it's a really good time to get into it. So again, don't rush into that. But yeah, one day if you want to run a pro haunt, I would definitely encourage more of us to work towards that, because I think that's still a kind of side of things that people don't really see being a stable future, but it definitely is, and it's starting to be, and it has been for a lot of pro haunts. So if you want to bring that home haunt to the next level and bring it to a pro haunt, I would definitely encourage more of us to work on that path. So yeah, that's all. I hope this video has helped you guys get some ideas for your next years of haunting. And if you guys have questions, definitely leave them down below. I will try to answer everybody. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.